we should start with the Star Wars theme tune, but I'm a really bad hummer, so I'm not going to do that. But we're going to do an R2D2 today, and it's really breaking it down into simple shapes. So let's start drawing. So today with our R2D2 we've got a lot of lines in it. So I want you to just try drawing a few lines on your bit of scrap paper today. It's really well worth practicing these. Can you see how lightly I'm pressing? If I hold the pencil tightly and try to draw my line like that, it's never going to be as good, especially if I'm bringing in that curve. So it's all about holding lightly. Or you can dot to dot and just gradually take your line across. Now, when you're drawing your lines, you need to be drawing horizontal, but also vertical. Now, I really struggle, so I just turn my paper around. You'll see me doing this all the time. I'm always turning my paper around. But I did spend a long time, all my lines used to be like that. So I spent a long time practicing drawing straight lines. And it's just like learning a little difficult thing on a musical instrument. If you do it over and over again, you can really improve. So when grown-ups say, I can't draw a straight line, you have to say, I can't even draw a line. And then you can just say back, well, have you practiced? So let's move on and we'll start our R2D2. Well, we're going to start our R2D2 with a rectangle. You know how Elizabeth and I love our dots. So we'll go with 4 dots there and then join them, just like I showed you in the warm-up. Nice straight lines. Now, I can't do vertical lines. I have to turn it. I can only draw them horizontally. If you can do verticals too, maybe that can be my next thing to practice over and over, is vertical lines. I'll start doing that today and I'll tell you, see how it works. If you want to, you could use a ruler for that. If you felt like your lines were a bit too wobbly, we're going to come up here and then we're going to do another line. And then we want this semicircle on top. Now, the easiest way to do that is to go up, put a little dot there, and then lots of see how loosely I'm holding that pencil, see how high up? And I'm going to do them really lightly because I might have to go back in. That seems very simple, this first bit, doesn't it? But this is the main part. This is the key. This is the bit that it's worth taking the time for. All those fun bits, all those details, they're the bits that you can, that if you spend the time on those, but you get this wrong, it won't look quite right, and you'll know. If you spend the time getting this right, it will really pay off. So get those first shapes in now. Here, I'm going to do an extra line just there at the top of his head. So that's the first bit. And the next bit is, so that's your line there, and go to this one, which was the top of that rectangle, and take it out. I'm going to take it out both the same on both sides to there, and the same down here. This is going to become his little droid legs. And then we're going to join these lines here. And at the bottom here, this is quite a simple little shape. We want to turn it into 2 lines out at an angle and then join. Same here. 1, 2 lines out at an angle and join. And the final bit on this stage is we're going to take, it's about the same distance as there. We're going to, if you put a dot in there and a dot there, I want you to join that down. And the same here. So if you pause and get those shapes in, and then on the final one, we'll put all those finishing touches, which will make him look absolutely R2D2. The fun bit, let's finish him off. So we've got a couple of lines here and a couple of lines there. I'm just going to work from the top down. Now, then right smack bang in the middle of this shape, we want a little circle like that. And round the circle is the square. I think, for Star Wars fans out there, this is where the little camera comes out with the film of Leia in Star Wars. Is that right, Elizabeth?
I don't know.
Elizabeth's not a Star Wars geek.
I do love it.
You love it, okay. Then we're going to go in with this long shape here. I think I was about 6 when the first Star Wars film came out, and my brother was crazy about it. In fact, I'm going to phone him, because even though he's nearly 50, I think he'd enjoy drawing this R2D2. Right, here we go. Probably won't thank me for the 50 reference though. So we're going to have that in there, and then we're going to split this central section here up. So it's just into lines, and don't you worry about this. When you come to it and it looks a bit overwhelming, when you do your pause for part 3, don't worry, just start at the top and work your way down. You're just filling in these shapes then. So we've got like a diamond shape here, and then a rectangle, and then a diamond shape here, and then a rectangle. Okay. So with this one then, this bottom bit, go right down to the bottom now. We'll put another line in there. We've got a circle with a cross. And then we're going to split this here. And we'll divide that one into quarters. And we've got these squares in. So drawing, when you see this and it all feels a bit overwhelming, don't try to think of the whole thing. Just take it section by section here like that. So we've got that one's got a horizontal line, a vertical line, and this one's got a horizontal line there. So we've got that there. Now if you come into this bit here, we're just going to, at that line there, take it across, and we'll take that one there as well. And we've got some little lines there, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there you've got your basic, instantly recognisable R2D2. So we're now going to go on and draw and paint it. So even if you don't have any paints and you're going to do it with felt tips or pens, just take a little look, because it'll give you some ideas of what we're going to use in the background and what we're going to do with colours. Paint this using a combination of these little palette of watercolour paints and our watercolour pencils that we've got here. If you don't have any at home, the shop, the Little Art School online shop, is going to be opening tomorrow, so that we know people have really struggled trying to get hold of art materials, slow delivery from usual online companies, etc, etc. So because we're family run businesses, we're able to do this all at home. So that's where we're going to be running our shop from. So all the information about that will be coming up on all our social media channels, so keep an eye out for that. So this little palette of paints has got everything you need. Here we go. This is what I'm going to start with, wax resist. So I have got this giant candle, which Elizabeth's really laughed at. So I'm going to put that out of the way. If you've not got a white crayon, you can use just any sort of candle. Make sure it's white though. I'm going to put in some stars in the background, and then we're going to paint over them. And we're also going to use this to create some sort of craters, like a space type thing in the ground. So there I'm going to just start there with a white line. You can't really see it because I'm just putting it in there. I'm just going to put in a few sort of circles, flat circles that will become like craters in the bottom. And in the sky, what I'm going to do is just lots of little dots. What I'm actually doing is just putting white crayon onto this paper, so that when the watercolour comes onto it, it will resist it. So it's called wax resist. But that's all I'm doing. Here's a few white dots. I want them to look like stars in a dark space-like sky. It always makes me think of Star Wars, you know, where the credits at the beginning roll up on that universe. Okay, so here we go with my paints. What I'm going to do is, the lid works brilliantly as a palette, so that's all you need. Oh, that one's a bit dirty, that water. Make sure you've always got water to clean your brush and water to make washes with. So we're going to do 2 washes here. There we go. And this first one, I want a dark night sky. So I'm going to go here Put in some really dark blue. Oh, that's kind of a purpley blue almost, isn't it? So I'll start with that. And then I'm going to go to the bottom here and I'm going to go to the black. Right, and you always really need to test this out to see what it looks like. Let's see. A bit too purple, I think. But I want that kind of inky, dark space sky. What about that? What do we think? Yeah? Now, before I start, totally clean brush. I've got my wash, totally clean brush into my clean water, and I'm going to just go around the edge here to create an invisible force field around R2D2. This is really important because it'll stop the paint going onto the actual droid. We don't need to worry about it at the bottom because can you see I've already got that wax line there which will act as a sort of natural barrier. And now here's the magic. Let's see, can you see how my stars are just starting to appear there? And we did this before, we did this with the snowdrop, if you remember, with drops of snow. For all of you who've been doing our daily draw for a while. And we also did this with Peter Rabbit, although we used a coloured one there. So can you see it's going up to it, but it's not going into our droid there, so that's stopping. But the stars are shining up quite nicely there, and I'm going to go to the bottom. That natural barrier that I've created there will form. So you'll notice that I didn't go straight from the palette, I mixed it as a wash, and that's the key with watercolours, is to get the wash in. So look, it's hitting that water, it's hitting the invisible force field, which seems highly appropriate around R2D2. And the harder you press and the more stars you put in, the more you'll get. So I just had a few in, but I feel like they've come up quite effectively. It's like little stars in a night sky. It's good fun playing with wax resist and watercolour. I think you'll enjoy it. So we'll go there. And that's the sky in. So if I clean my brush, I'm going to think of a sort of planet colour. So I think what I'm going to go for is, here's me just making up a planet colour now. Let's have a bit of yellow. And I think maybe a bit of a sort of brown, like a yellowy brown. This is because of my slight obsession with yellow ochre, I think. There we go, let's see what that looks like. And you can see I put in these craters here. So I haven't put a force field in, so I'm having to paint much more carefully around his legs there. I'm not going to worry about that. It won't mingle because I've got that wax line between, do you remember? So that's a little barrier there, right there. Can you see how this wax is coming up here where I'd put in these little lines for sort of craters? And that will work as our background. So that's just from our little simple palette of paints. We're going to let that dry for 5 minutes and then we'll put the detail in with the watercolour. I'm going to use a selection here of watercolour pencils. I've got a couple of blues and then a selection of different colours that I'm going to use just for his buttons and things, and some black. I'm also going to use a black fine liner pen, but if you've just got a black biro or something, that will work equally as well. So I'm going to start with my dark blue, just very lightly colouring here, just a little bit on both sides of this, like these triangles here, and then this line here. But what I'll do is go much more solid in the outline, and I'll do that there as well. So I'll go solid in the outline because the pigment from the pencils I'll be able to pick up to use around. I don't want it too dark. And the other bits I'm going to do in this colour are here for that bit. Same here. Oh, sorry, pause for 1 second. Keep filming, Elizabeth. I've got my handy sharpener here. I'm constantly breaking these things by pressing too hard. There we go, and then I'll go around the edges of that circle, and the same here. And I'm just going to go in those 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, Here's the magic bit. So if I take my pen, my little paintbrush here, I'm just going to turn it slightly, not much, just slightly to paint. And all I'm doing is I'm capturing that pigment from the outer edge and then I'm lifting it in so it goes in the centre. So we've talked about these watercolour pencils a lot. We know loads of you are desperate to buy them and haven't been able to get hold of them. So we are really excited to be opening our shop tomorrow. So hopefully, we've got quite limited stock, but hopefully quite a few of you will be able to start getting some watercolour pencils and fall in love with them just like we've all done. There we go. I'm going to just do this bit really quickly here. You can really take your time over this R2D2 and the same around here, and those I'll just do very gently there. So there's that little bit. Now the next bit I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the edges here with this much paler blue here, and the only bit I'm going to really colour, you see how lightly I'm doing that? I'm really not bothered about having a great deal of paint in there. He's a sort of, quite often, my memories of R2D2 are that he's generally pretty bashed around. There's some bits in different ceremonies where he's looking all sparkly, but mostly he's an action droid, isn't he? There we go, and we'll go to there. And with the rest of it, I'm just going to go around each of the edges like this. With the blue, I'm doing this very quickly. I'm going to put another line in there, which I missed out earlier. And each time I do that, what I'm going to do is come in and just take my brush, and all I'm doing here is, can you see I'm softening the line? Just to give this a little bit more of a sophisticated look. If you've just got ordinary pencils, just use your ordinary pencils for this. Don't worry about the line softening. And I'm going to come in and do that on all these lines here. So all those lines that we drew earlier, we'll just put them in a blue, and then we'll go through and soften each one. Now, as you've got the weekend ahead, you could put some of the things we've done in past daily draws and put them together. I know our critter from Wednesday wasn't strictly a Star Wars character, but you could pop him in with a droid, make a planet picture. Here we go. So that's all those blue lines, and I'm not going to go and turn them all, but you can see what I've done there. It is literally just taking my brush, you see, and I'm just softening it. If you want to, you can take that from the softening and take it out like that. So have a play with it. And finishing it off now, it's just going to be our little switches here. So I've got one there in red. I'm not going to turn these to paint. I'll just leave them as they are. And a green. And a yellow. And if I go around there. Now, what I would love as we move back into homeschooling and the school term tomorrow, even though we're all staying at home, is loads of ideas, please. So show us, make sure you show us your pictures on Facebook and send us some ideas of what you want to do in your daily draw that can form part of your school day at home. There we go. And I can turn that a little bit to paint, not much, around there. And just finish it. You can finish it off. If you've got a fine liner, you could finish it off by doing some of these little details like that. Don't forget to sign it. Make sure you send us your R2D2s on our Facebook page or Twitter or on our Instagram. We would love to see them. Hope you really loved that R2D2. Make sure you send us your pictures on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. We can't describe how much we love seeing them, not just me and Elizabeth, everybody in the Little Art School team. If you go to Little Art School classes, all your teachers are really enjoying seeing them too, so make sure you send them in. Now, over the weekend, we are going to be opening our Little Art School shop, selling paints, pencils, all the things we use on here. So keep an eye on our Facebook page for more information about that. And we will see you back on Monday. Term starts on Monday. We know that it's going to be a bit of an odd back to school day for everybody staying at home, but we're going to be here for you. We'll be releasing our class at 11 o'clock and we're going to be starting term off with a gorgeous tropical island. So we will see you on Monday.